All right, so today's Scrum is on techniques to work with UpWork. So you can have a little look at all these different foresights. Nothing to do with any of our UpWorkers, just I find them interesting. We can spend a minute and look at that. Meanwhile, basically this is just my own, impressions of work with UpWork. There's nothing necessarily that I'm doing better than someone else. At the end, you'll all be able to chime in and, giving your own opinions and ideas of the best way of doing it. But again, this is all just my own opinions and how I've worked with them. All right, so the first slide is a little bit of history. So EyeCarePro began using the freelancer site UpWork on April 11th. This was in our meeting notes and a weekly audio from Daniel. What happened was is that I'm sure everyone knows that everyone was tasked by Daniel to come up with a way to take on more clients, actually helping him to go from a $30,000 client load to a $40,000 client load. This was more like theoretical. So he went and looked out for different processes to be able to do that, discovered UpWork, which was relatively cheap to use and still provides decent work. I'm not sure if he's actually gone to a $40,000 client load, but in any case, he's helped the entire company because by him taking on extra work, it made us all also take on extra work. So he's been using them for project work, everyone using them for different things. For us, obviously, we're using them for, I generally use them for more of my A clients because, I can provide easier work, like citation work that I wouldn't necessarily be doing every month. This way I can give them extra work and have more time to work on the B and C clients. Obviously, it's a resource for giving work when we don't have time to work, let's say in a shorter month, or if we're going away or something, on the B and C clients. And obviously, if we have work extra that we can use for our B and C clients, that also helps. So it's always a good resource to have more work being done for our clients. So first of all, let's have a look at the UpWork team. So I've been using the first two, Gurpreet and Rajwinder. I'm not sure if they're from the same family or anything like that, but it's just interesting. I went onto the UpWork site and I saw that this is what they list their own profiles as. So you have, they're all based in India, because I guess that's the price range that we're looking for. And most of them we see here that they're generally good at SEO. Some of them are content writers, some of them are SEO plus something else. But in general, they seem to be quite generic SEO, and and some of them are obviously agencies, which give us a little bit of problem. Ramdeep isn't here. I'm not sure. I don't use her, but could be we don't use them. Some of them, the ones that we obviously felt that they weren't so great at, like the work, they weren't working fast enough, or they were slacking off, or whatever it was. I mean, these guys aren't necessarily working for EyeCarePro. They're working for themselves. They're working with agencies. So when we ask them to do work, they do have a short turnaround time, but if they're not willing to work with EyeCarePro on our own system, because, like, for example, UpWork generally uses their own content system to be able to give work through and to be able to do stuff like, provide feedback through their own UpWork system. So we don't generally do that. We do it on Skype or on Ninja or on somewhere else. And sometimes they don't like that. So they're not really working for EyeCarePro exclusively. Therefore, some of them work out, some of them don't. All right, so this is more what can UpWork do for me. So, if we use UpWork and they mess up our site, so they do something, we've definitely had that experience. I've had that experience. We want to make them more of an asset than a liability. So the way to do it is what Dov keeps telling us. He didn't tell me to say this, but it's true. We have to assign work that they know how to do. We don't know if they know how to do it before, but obviously with training and different resources I'll share, we'll be able to use them more as an asset rather than giving them something and just say, hey, go out and do it. And if you don't do it, then I'll find someone else or whatever it is. We have to really stand by and make sure that they do the work and don't provide extra work for them before they finish their first work. Another way of doing that is obviously to limit the amount of work that we give them, because if they haven't, let's say, done assignments, and then we give them more assignments, then we're not really going to manage them well. So we definitely need to keep on top of them and keep them on a short leash in a way. So this is my own, way of going through. These are the assignments that I've personally given them, and everyone's going to have different feedback. But what I've seen is that giving them citation lists, very good, very easy for them. You tell them what to search for. They go on the web, they search for it. They've missed a few things here and there because of, let's say, they couldn't find the practice name was slightly different. We see that throughout our own clients. So obviously, for them doing our same clients, they'll also find the same issues, except that we have Ninja with all of our notes and we know what we're doing, we'll be doing it for longer. So it's generally, a safe bet to give them citation lists to do. Siloing, I found, again, they know how to do it after I've trained them, but they still come back with mistakes, so they're okay. Again, the duplicate citations, again, it's easier for them just to search for the, location and the practice name. Writing the metadata for the pages, I generally didn't like how they write, so I don't like giving them metadata to write or anything else. The GMB descriptions, again, if I give them the description and then they post it, it's very easy for them to do, and it saves us a lot of time than having to go into each GMB and post ourselves. So it definitely helps with that. And again, with the citations, I find that I'm sure other people have also found that giving them the citation work to do and having them log into these citation emails, generally if they get locked out, it's really annoying because it's hard to get back in. But again, these are the same things that we would also get with, like if we don't have, let's say, the right password, or if we forgot it, or if we log in from another computer, the same results happen to us that we need to go and verify it. So as long as we keep all of our notes very, very organized, then we'll be able to hopefully use them more and do more citation work with them. Now these are the things that I didn't write these. These are from our general Google document. So I just wrote it down here because this is what I think Dov gave us, that these are the ones that only basic training is required. Some of them maybe not the right thing to say, because again, with citation work, sometimes they need a bit more training, whatever it is. But generally, these are the easiest ones to do. What I like to definitely do when I give them citation work is to clearly label the email and passwords that we want them to work on, so that they'll know exactly what it is. And again, we sometimes have multiple emails and passwords because we've been locked out of some of them. So it's very important to write those on the document that we're sending them. And just make sure that the training docs are clearly written, and make sure that they keep asking for questions. They don't like asking questions. That's what I generally found. They usually do the work and then ask you, oh, how did it go? Or, I finished it, and you have to generally go and ask them, to redo it or something. So it's always good to keep the dialogue open. I give them my Skype name. I say, I do email Gertrude, that's the one I work with now. She's more of an agency, but I'm saying you just generally email them. You can, use Skype, whatever it is. Just keep the dialogue open so that they don't, do a whole 50 citations for someone and they're all wrong or something. So that's the idea. This is the one with more moderate training. Again, writing GMB descriptions, I don't like to do that because I feel that the level of English isn't so strong. So generally any writing I wouldn't necessarily give them, but everyone has their own way of doing that, what they want to do. Fixing broken links, again, I've never really tried doing it with them. I would give them, show me what broken links you have, and generally I'll be able to go and fix it. But that's not really an assignment to me because it's very easy to find the broken links. It's just harder to fix them. And again, you can go through it. I've not really used all of these, but this is what the moderate, more training is required. And then this is what I've been doing more with the intensive training required. So I've been giving them a lot of siloing, and I found again, like we'll talk about a little bit more, that they need a lot of assistance. And when I check the work, and I fix any mistakes that they make. So look, in all, they're definitely saving us a lot of time and extra work as long as the mistakes are small and easily fixable. So, having, going through it and seeing an anchor text that's not correct, so it's not a big deal to go ahead and fix that. And obviously competitive analysis is easy for them to do. So, again, these are things that I generally would do myself, but siloing is, people do what they feel that is taking too much time from them, and everyone has their own way. But what I'm saying is that these are they need a lot of intensive training. You can't just give them this and give them a training doc and expect them to do it perfectly. It's going to take them a long time to get it right. So we have some resources. I'll share this document with everyone afterwards. The link to the document for training everyone has, but I've just provided it here. And obviously everyone can go and as you give more and more assignments, just update the documents. The more resources we have to train people, the better it is. And obviously this training is going to be a little bit different than the training that we do for new AMs, because we're talking to people who English isn't their first language, SEO may not be their strong suit, they're not hired necessarily because they're amazing SEO, but they're hired generally because they can take an assignment and do it well, and they're very cheap. So we have to definitely provide a little bit different training than we normally would do for someone that we hire. So the best use of this document is, what I like to do is when I create the assignment, is that I take the assignment, put it into Ninja, the tools, the training tools that they need, and then that way they just have exactly what they have, because the whole document is just a big list of all the different training tools. So by even giving it to them with the link, exactly to what it is, I still find that they can scroll up, they can scroll down, and they'll miss it. By copying it into Ninja, that way is the best way of doing it. That's what I find. And also, like I said before, doing something where a hard, task for them, like siloing or doing a post, I show them first how to do it, and then that way I make sure that they know how to do it. Again, they still, could mess up, because doing it a few times, it takes time at the beginning to do it, but as long as they understand what we want, they generally do fix the mistakes that they make. And the idea is just that we want them to stay with us and to have whoever it is that they're using to train, that they should train, we should train them the best way that they could, and if they're doing themselves, then great, and if they're training other people, then they should also have the tools that we give them to be able to provide training. So the training document is very important, because it could be not necessarily just us training someone else, it could be that they're training their own agency. So it has to be very, very simple, very easy to do, and a lot of easy to go steps. Okay. All right, so this is my own, assessments that I found with the example of siloing, just because I've been doing a lot of siloing recently. So first of all, the section, and these are very easy to fix. That's why I just put the problems that I found, solutions. Again, the section to silo, right? This would be the easiest thing. Like just say EyeCare services, but not necessarily is every EyeCare service is called EyeCare services. Sometimes they're called, in my clients, TSO services or professional services, or maybe they're got a location name or something else. So they get thrown off a little bit if it doesn't say services, if it's a little bit off. So you need to just provide them the exact link. That's what I found. Pages are in text editor. This is a constant thing that I find, that they change them to page builder. It's not the biggest deal, but it's a little bit annoying if, once they're in text editor, to start changing to page builder. It's just a different way of format. So just I have to keep explaining to them, just, keep it in text editor. Keep it, if it's in page builder on the home page, keep it over there. Again, they're not necessarily so experienced in WordPress, so that's, again, just something that we have to point out, and then they'll learn from that. Another thing I found, this is quite important, is skip pages. So I found this more with child pages, where they have to click down on the arrows. Sometimes they miss them. A lot of the times, these are very small mistakes. We could even make these mistakes ourselves. So just, telling them to add, when I go through it, I add them, but I'm saying as long as I keep telling them and they get the feedback, then they usually fix it, and the next time they won't skip those pages because they'll get used to doing these siloing with EyeCare services sections or different sections that we provide. So it's just a matter of getting used to it. That's what I feel like. But you have to keep giving them the feedback. That's what it's very important to do that. And again, I found anchor text is not appropriate for the silo. A close one that I'm, sometimes I'll change, sometimes I won't, is the, for example, child eye care, pediatric eye exams. So they sometimes use the anchor text comprehensive eye exam. It is pretty much a comprehensive eye exam, but it's obviously for pediatrics. So it really depends, if it can fit in or not. But stuff that's not necessarily, proper to use. For example, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I'm saying if you had something like the next section is, let's say, advanced technology, and they use something like, comprehensive eye exams, obviously that's incorrect. So in that case, you just give them the page title and the location and then tell them to just stick it on the bottom, and that's usually a solution that I found easiest. They use a lot more, and there's less mistakes that way, and then, you get your silo, and obviously they do all the new follows and everything else. Some other things I found, for example, the GMB posts, where I assigned them a post that says to do in a week, and they've done it right away, which is good, except that if I'm providing many posts, I don't want them all to be on the same day, because obviously we want to make the posts spread out throughout the month. Where I generally like to do, let's say, one post a week for the lingos, let's say bi-monthly for the OD lights. So a way to do that is to write on the assignment in Ninja, due on this day. Again, I haven't tried it, but hopefully that they'll, start doing it on that day, because they generally only do it when you actually give them the assignments, right? So, it's just something we have to work on. Maybe there's something we can do in the dev where they can actually, how you can do a future post, a future Ninja assignment. Maybe that's a way of doing it. In any case, maybe putting it on this date will work. Again, they are about, I think they're like 5 hours ahead of us or ahead or something. So it doesn't always work out exactly, but usually telling them when to do it on the same day will be done within 1 day of that assignment. Again, citation audits, they miss a few. Again, these are because they might have a different name on the assignment, the name of the practice could be slightly different, Texas State Optical versus Texas TSO, or something else, if the practice changed their name. So we have to provide any of our notes that we have to help them do the best work that they can. And again, I'm not a fan of giving them things to write, because when I first gave them GMB descriptions, they came back really, really bad. I'm sure you guys also saw a lot of very poorly written descriptions. So again, I tell them to use the main paragraph on the homepage, or generally just write it myself and have them post it. So that's a way to get out of that. Now, some of my tips and tricks here, because this is generally just to try and get everyone, not necessarily to do the same thing, but, we've all done different assignments and send them out. So I'm doing a lot of bulk work, for example, at the moment. So a lot of tips that I like to do is, first of all, I have a document that I use for for keeping track of what assignments I've done for them. It's easier to do it, like, for example, let's say I'm doing a GMB micropost. So I'll write, I'm doing a GMB micropost on this exam, let's say eye exams, or I'm doing it on some specific, thing that they're doing. I don't know, let's say, it's coming towards the end of the year, so we want to do, use it or lose it, let's say. I wouldn't do that, because that's what our WMs, whatever they're called, LMs are doing. But I'm saying do something that's like, dry eye or whatever it is, and then you do it for all of the clients, right? So what I'll do is I'll just write dry eye, post, and I'll do one line of it, and then I'll know this is what I've done, so I don't have to do it again. I won't do it again. This way I can keep track of it. Putting it into Ninja doesn't necessarily remind you of what you've just done. Again, when you're doing a lot of bulk work, that's what it is. You're doing a lot of work, and you might not necessarily remember that you've just done dry eye, say, 6 weeks ago. So this way you keep track of it. That's what I do. And obviously, when you provide a lot of work for the Upworkers to do, so you don't want to let old work go unchecked. So I generally like to, within a week of after I get the work back, I check it and make sure that it's done right. I won't go through every single one. If it's like a GMB post, I'll go through some of them. It depends on what it is. I mean, if they're generally doing it, and it depends if I'm doing the bulk Ninja assignment, because if I'm doing it like that, then they're already completed. So there's no way of really going to each one and check it. But you can generally see, if you quickly type in the name, TSO this, TSO that, you can see if they're there. And generally, if the first and the last and the middle and whatever else is there, then they generally, I won't go through every single one of my accounts because there's like 80 of them. I like to do all the bulk work at the beginning of the month, similar to like how we do with Debbie, because that way you've given them the work and then they have, the month to do it. Again, this wouldn't work necessarily if we do, the assignments in, let's say, in the future. For example, if we were able to have the assignments in Ninja to say, do this assignment, and then it comes up on the email, 7 days into the month, 14 days into the month, and 21 days into the month, that would be easier instead of just having them with tons of emails, because I don't know exactly how they work, but they seem to just do everything at once. And then they get swamped, and then they don't do the work, and then you have to go back. I think if we had it more spread out, that they get the emails, every week, let's say, or twice a month or something, then they'll generally do it more. That's my own understanding of how they work. Again, when you assign the work, if you're not doing bulk work, then you just click the submit for review, so you can see if it's done. But it's not always an option because they don't always click that they've completed it. They don't realize how our Ninja system works necessarily, or if they do, but they give it to someone else in their agency and they don't know how it works. So then again, it's good to have a separate doc, and that way we can definitely keep track of everything. And obviously, looking at the Ninja, the Upwork report, is very, very good because it tells us exactly, what we've done and, what's outstanding and what's delayed, and we can go and check on it. So it's good to use, I think, in my opinion, both the Upwork report in Ninja and also our own doc to keep track of how to use them. And obviously, what Boris just said here in the chat is looking at a calendar view before picking due dates, because then we can generally see, what type of work they also have if we're sharing Upworkers, which we generally are. Okay, let's see. Now, here's some resources. Again, everyone has this, but it's just easier to have it all on one page. The Upwork training is what I mentioned before. Bernard's sandbox is kind of cool. I'll show that to you in a second. Hope you don't mind, Bernard, but I like this because, he's basically made it so it's very simple. Whatever he's going to do, he'll probably just send them a link to this exact thing. Everyone has their own way of doing it. And siloing, I think he has the videos, so it's good to have something like that. So I definitely, if Bernard lets everyone use his sandbox, I'm sure this is a good resource also. And then, so yeah, and then we have all the other stuff. And this is my own GMB post template. I actually got it from Devora. I think it's really, really cool because it allows you to add the UTM. It allows you to add locations at the end, and it's just a very easy way of doing a lot of GMB blogs, micro posts. So that's kind of cool.
Can you share these links afterwards? These aren't clickable.
Yeah, I'm going to share this whole document with you afterwards. And that's the end, but not really, because this is something that we're all going to add to it, and the more that we do use Upwork and everything else, we're going to obviously add and get our own tips and tricks, and hopefully hire some of these Upworkers for EyeCarePro. I think that would be the best thing. So thank you all for listening, and please, anyone have questions, comments, or your own strategies? Now's the time.
Did anyone use them for competitive research? What do you mean by competitive research?
So what did I mean? So it was, I think it was more like comparing it to our competition, like how many.
Like what? To find our competition links? Like what?
Yeah, like I'm saying, like if let's say a competition in the area, let's say within 5 miles. So how many citations does the competitor have? How many? You know, what was the keyword strategy or something else? Like these are.
Yeah, I asked them to look at all the competitors in a given zip code and tell me what their GMB main category was. Right. Different things like that. Something that I just wanted to know to help me make a decision.
Mm-hmm. It's not like they looked at backlinks and stuff like that.
Not yet, but not a bad idea. Kind of.
All right. Anyone else have any other questions, comments?
Does anyone have other assignments they do that aren't on here?
I give them the channel pages to do now. Also, the YouTube
What
channel
does that mean?
pages. The YouTube channel pages. The YouTube channel pages. Just optimizing it once the video has been uploaded to the website. Then I get the video and I make sure that it's uploaded to their GMB and to their photos. So we're starting giving. That's another GMB assignment that I'm giving them.
Do you have instructions and/or a video about how to do that?
I have instructions, step-by-step instructions. I have to modify it because if you're making your own channel page, not because usually when Jerome makes a video, he makes the channel page first. So we're working with just customizing the channel pages. It's just an easier bulk assignment that they can do. It's they're not creating anything. They're just adding links, adding an image, adding the description. Basically, I just tell them take the description from the GMB description, the business description, and that's what you put in the about section. So just like steps, again, it's a bulk assignment that's easy, and it saves time with just adding things that are simple for them to do.
And you also got to make sure that you add that they make sure that there's no channel already.
They're only working on channels that are existing channels. They're not creating channels.
They're not creating channels. Okay, I understand now. Does anybody have a walkthrough on how to use Bernard's blog post optimization?
Just pasting?
Yeah, is there a video or instruction to use that?
Usually Bernard has it inside the tool. Like, no, it's written in form.
It's full instructions. If you click on the home page and the blog post optimizer, there's full instruction.
It says, please be patient. We're currently doing maintenance on this. I'll have it back.
Yes, I'm busy updating. I was working with Jeremy. If you click on the logo at the top left-hand corner.
What?
Top left-hand corner logo.
Okay.
Yeah, click on that. Then click on blog post optimizer.
Okay. Ah, cool. Whoa, look at this.
Wow, that is awesome. That's exactly what I was hoping for.
Wow. Tanya, this is
I've added a post for Facebook and a post for Blue my business. I'm just busy refining that, and it should be live in the next day. So.
Cool. Okay.
What about, I think this has been brought up before, but what about doing these for like clients, all of our clients across the board, instead of like dividing up these kinds of assignments that are anyway bulk assignments by AM, if we just say like do it for all ODLX clients?
Yeah, but we have
How would you check it then? But how would you check it then? Like, I feel like giving them bits and pieces makes it more manageable for me to check.
Right, because I said before, you have to go through and check to make sure that they posted it. If they've, if it's a bunch of little assignments, it's easier to go. But if you do a whole bulk one, you're not going to check 80, accounts or whatever it is. All right. Fine. Anyone else have any other questions?
Mm-hmm.
All right, fine. So I think we'll stop here, but we'll definitely add more and more different things that we do, videos and everything else to the training documents, and then maybe Bernard will add them to his sandbox here, and we'll have a great resource for managing UpWork. So.
Yes, I'm adding as much stuff as I can, so if you have anything, please send it along.
Yeah. Remember, everyone, this sandbox is on ecpbuilder.com, so if you can't find it and nobody's helping you find it, you just got to search ecpbuilder.com to find it.
I'm going to send it out. I'm going to send this to
you mentioned that before.
Yeah. So it's in there. Very cool. All right. Thank you all for listening. And have a great day.